Hello, in this video we're going to be solving quadratics using the square root method. So in number 1 I have the equation x squared equals 49, and you may be able to solve this intuitively, that is, what number squared equals 49. And we know that 7, when we square 7, that we would get 49, but that's not the only option. If we were to square -7, that will also get us 49, because -7 squared, two negatives make it a positive, as well as two positives make a positive. So that's why we have those two answers. So if I wanted to draw a picture of this, I have x squared equals 49. I'm going to get it equal to 0, like we're used to, so x squared minus 49 equals 0. If I graph this, so on Desmos I would type in y equals x squared minus 49. And so we'll have a y-intercept way the heck down here of -49, and then my parabola that's coming up, and we would cross at an x value of 7 and -7. So that's how I could solve this by graphing, and you can see how we'd have those two solutions, a 7 and a -7. We're used to having two solutions. If it was x squared minus 49 equals 0, I could factor that as well. X times x is what makes x squared. A 7 and a -7 multiply to 49, -49, and add to 0. So x plus 7 would equal 0, or x minus 7 could equal 0. So x would equal -7 or 7, just like we found. So there are other ways to do this, but one way we can do it is through the square root method. That is, if I have x squared equals 49, I could square root both sides of that. The opposite of squares are square roots. So the square root and the square would cancel and we just get x. But the square root of 49, all that's showing me is 7. So how do I get that negative sign in front of it? Well, I can put a sign in front that has both a plus and a minus sign to it. That is to say, my x is showing that I have two answers, a +7 and a -7. Let's use that method to do number 2. So if I'm looking at x squared equals 100, if I square root both sides to get rid of the squared, we should have two answers, and therefore that square root of 100, I'm going to put that plus or minus sign in front of it. So we come up with x equals either positive or -10. So what we've learned from the previous page is that when we square root both sides of an equation, one side needs that plus or minus sign in front of it. So let's use that information and try to do number 3, where we have the quantity x minus 5 quantity squared equal 9. And so I want to start getting x by itself, and I'll do so by square rooting both sides of the equation. Now when I do that, just like it says at the top, that one side needs a plus or minus, and I'll put that with the number square root of 9. Square roots and squares cancel, so we have x minus 5 only on the left equals plus or minus, and then the square root of 9 becomes 3. And to get x alone, we'll add 5 to both sides. And so x is equal to, well, we have two different options here. We have a +3 plus 5, or x will be equal to the -3 plus 5. So x is either 8 or x is +2. And those are the two answers for this problem. So that's how we do the square root method. For now, we are done.